As part of the Shalom Jerusalem Foundation, we believe in Shalom. And Shalom, in our eyes, is way before it's a political terminology. It's a humanitarian value. And in Jerusalem 3 weeks ago, there was a young man who was shot accidentally by the Israeli police. He was autistic. He was a Muslim, but he was a citizen of Jerusalem. And as a person who believes in Shalom, meaning meeting people who are not always on my side of the political arena, who not always think the same thoughts I do, but touching hearts, touching souls on the humanitarian level is something that I strongly believe in. And I thought this was an opportunity to go visit a family and talk to them and show my empathy on the loss of their son. Unfortunately, as soon as I walked into the house, first I was told by one of the people there in the house that I wasn't wanted. But within moments, a group of like 10, 15 guys entered the house, grabbed me, picked me up, threw me literally down the stairs, chased me and started running and beating me up, stepping on me, punching me, kicking me. It was a lynch. It was very sad, not only the pain that I went through, and I did go through a lot of pain. And by the way, one of the family members saved my life. He actually protected me, and he took me to the close by fire department where I was able to call the police. But until then, it was very traumatic. It was like a 5-10 minute traumatic moment.
Were there alone? Did you go with any other Jewish members of the?
I actually went with two friends of mine who speak Arabic. One was a Muslim himself, and one was a Jew. We thought I didn't expect that to accept me with the red carpet, but I did expect them to respect the fact that we came to show empathy and to pay a condolence call. This was not the situation, and I respect that. But I do not respect anybody who believes in violence, anybody who believes that he has a right to be violent. And at the same time, I can say quite clearly, I'm not going to give in to violence. If any of those people who beat me up thought the next day I'm going to stop going up to Temple Mount, he was wrong. And I want to tell you, that morning, we were up on the Temple Mount. We had a wonderful prayer on Zoom with people, pastors from all over the United States, Afro-Americans, Hispanics, Chinese, and white, praying together for the peace of the United States of America. Because that is what Jerusalem is supposed to stand for. And we truly believe, and that's what the Shalom Jerusalem Foundation is all about, people who join us on our event visiting Temple Mount. This morning I was on Temple Mount. I had people with me on live from Pakistan, from China, from Holland, from Norway, because every single time I go up to Temple Mount, people join me. People go into our website, shalomjerusalem.org, and they put in their prayer requests. Or they request to join us on a tour on Temple Mount. And we have already developed a movement of people who believe in shalom as a godly value, as a godly humanitarian value. And we're going to continue that. And I want to tell you something very clear. Life is much stronger than death. Love is much stronger than hate. And light is much stronger than darkness. And we're going to bring light to this world from Jerusalem. And even if it's even through on the way, we're going to go through different obstacles. We're going to bring it because that's our obligation as Jews from Jerusalem.
Wow. Amazing. I'm amazed every time by your strength. But by the way, you probably know at least a few of the attackers, if they're family members or anything like that. Was anyone there who was arrested by the police due to this attack?
Apparently the police put their hands on some cameras that were in the area, and they've arrested a few. They've convicted some of them. They're taken to court. I don't know, but the truth is, I've not been following that because I'm not caring and not revenge and nothing to do with me. The question is the police in Israel has to make sure that people do not take a chance of using violence, and that's something that we have. That's the police's job. It's not my job. My job is to continue spreading the light, and that's what I believe. Spreading the light from Jerusalem to the entire world. That's our mission today. And just like Abraham, when God brought him to Israel and told him, I'm giving you this land of Canaan. And he went around all over calling the name of God, saying God chose me not just because he liked me, but because he gave me an assignment. And the assignment of the people of Israel is to establish a kingdom here in Israel, calling and uniting the world around one God, the God that is inclusive. And that's what we're going to continue doing. And that's anybody who follows my activity knows that I am a very zealot when it comes to love for human beings, when it comes to shalom, when it comes to Jerusalem. And I'm going to continue that. And definitely nobody, no kind of violence is going to stop me. And as I said today, I went again on Temple Mount, and every week I'm going to go on Temple Mount. And anybody who wants to join our movement is welcome to go into shalomjerusalem.org and be part of being an agent of change in the world.
Amazing. How do you explain the fact that you, of all people who are so devoted to Temple Mount and the freedom of worship there, in fact, many of the things that change in Temple Mount are credited to you. Why are you targeted by radical Islamists?
I pointed out several times. I think that the radical Islamists are the people that belong to the group that I call them exclusives, meaning that everybody has to be like me, and if you don't believe what I believe in, I have a right to kill you. But I want to remind you, it was not the first time I went through an attack. As you know, 5 years ago, there was an attempt to murder me by a Muslim. But at the same time, I was also treated, and I was actually, with a surgeon who operated on me was a Muslim, and the nurse who took care of me in the intensive care unit was also a Muslim. And that shows, in my eyes, to say that the radical Islamic political Islam are not those that rule over the majority of the Islam. And the majority of the people in the world, including the majority of the Muslims, want to live peacefully in this world. And therefore, we should not allow these radical, exclusive political people who are destroying the name of their religion. Because religion is a faith in God. And God is the God of shalom. And anybody who believes that God wants him to use violence or trying to kill somebody else in the name of God is I would say is not only not sanctifying God's name, he's crucifying, he's totally insulting God. He's bringing a shame upon his God.
Well, as you told us, you have been this morning on Temple Mount. So can you tell us a little bit what is the current situation there, given the Corona situation and in general?
As you can expect, we go up to Temple Mount with masks. But we've brought major change on Temple Mount. In the past, we were not allowed to pray. Today, they allow us to pray. They don't allow us to pray as groups in a minyan, or they don't allow us to bring prayer books on the Temple Mount, but they allow us to pray, and they know we're praying. Unfortunately, we still have to make the change. We still have to change the fact that we have to be allowed to bring Bibles onto the Temple Mount, and they have to allow them to bring prayer books on the Temple Mount, and we have to be able to assign official prayers on Temple Mount. So we do have what to do, and that's what we're doing in our organization, the Shalom Jerusalem Foundation. But the announcement of the fact that the Temple Mount and Jerusalem is the foundation of our faith, and it's there to make us look at this world with a biblical lens, that is changing. And the Temple Mount, more and more people are coming. And now, then, because of the Corona, many people who don't come join us live, because every single time I go up to the Temple Mount, I'm live on Facebook, I'm live on YouTube, and I'm live on Zoom for people to recite prayer with me. And that's what we're doing. And we're calling upon the world. Unite with us. Doesn't matter where you're from, who you are. If you're a believer in one God, you can become part of this, turning the Temple Mount into a house of prayer for all nations. That's what we're doing. And we're respecting anybody who worships God on the Temple Mount. And we are going to make the change that the Temple Mount, everybody, as soon as you heard the name Temple Mount, your first associate thought will not be something that's violent, something that is full of hate, but the first thing you say, Temple Mount, wow, the world center of shalom. And that's what we're doing, and that's what we're going to continue doing. So I said we made major changes, because I remember a few years ago, any Jew would ascend Temple Mount immediately was harassed, incitement. They threw chairs at us, shoes, rocks, everything. We were determined, and the change is made, but we still have a lot to do, and that's what we're involved in.
Well, actually, the change that Jews can pray there, that's an enormous change, among others that we've seen in the last few years. So there's definitely a huge momentum in that direction, and that's just so great.
I can say that we can definitely, credit goes not very much also to the activists who go on to Temple Mount, but I can definitely say some good words to the soon will be Israel's ambassador to New York and to the United Nations, who was the Interior Minister, Minister Gilad Erdan, who came to become the minister 4 or 5 years ago, and he made a change. He said he was going to make a change, and he kept his promise. And I'm wishing him a lot of success on his new mission to the United States, and to the United Nations, and to the United States as Israel's ambassador. We have a lot to do there, and there's a lot to talk to the world and tell them about the great things, the great miracles that are happening here in Israel.
Right. I agree. And I join you in the wishes. Well, Yehudah Glick, former Knesset member and president of the Shalom Jerusalem Foundation, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Shalom, Zohar, and it's always a pleasure to be with you. Shalom from Jerusalem.